All right, so I am recording now. Not much of an introduction. This is what the scary part is. This is our sixth class, but because it's intersession, we're actually into maybe more like class 12 because every class is basically two classes. It's a little difficult during Ramadan because of the time and just, um, everybody's situation. People are fasting and things like that, but we're making pretty good progress. Um, we looked at this yesterday. So if you have your books, your course notes, we're obviously in Unit 1, and we started on page 46 on Thursday afternoon. Now, I noticed Thursday afternoon, maybe some of you had to leave early. Maybe you missed Thursday's class. Don't forget that all of these links or all of these classes are recorded and put on YouTube. All right. Cool. Thank you, Hoda, for adding those people to the WhatsApp group. So last day we learned about simplifying algebraic expressions. So, like the way I say it, like the funny thing about me is I'm like a half-time science teacher, half-time math teacher. So I kind of sometimes have my own way to do or explain mathematic things. I would always call this combining like terms. Now, obviously, this is simplifying an expression. The math people are certainly right. But when I was a student, I'd say, okay, I have to simplify by combining like terms, combining like terms. So what are like terms? Okay, and little review. What are terms? Terms are, oops, let me get my pen opened up here. Give me 1 second. There we go. Terms are the things in an algebraic expression separated by a plus or minus sign. It doesn't need to be positive. And we call them terms. For a term to be a like term, it has to have all of the same. Okay. Let me take that back. It doesn't have to have all of the same parts. It has to have the same variable and exponent. A variable would be like the x, the exponent would be what in, let's say, in communications, you would call a superscript, which is a number above another number, not above it like a fraction, but kind of raised up a little bit. Like terms have the same variable and exponent. The coefficient is allowed to be different. Okay, so we did this on Thursday, so I'm going to leave that, and so you can check that out at your own time. You can look at the video on Thursday. I'm just going to show you a practice problem or two, and then I'll get you guys to do a practice problem for some warm up, and then we'll start something new. So this will be pretty quick. All right. So for the students who can't remember or the students who missed this, this is what you do. These are like terms, mn squared and mn squared. They are the same term. Oh man, my undo isn't working for some reason. That's not working either. Okay. Hold on, I'm talking to myself here. I'm having some issue, but why? Weird. Okay, not a big deal. I just got to remember that I can't get rid of that. Can I erase it? Yes, I can erase it. All right. We're fine. We're fine. Just Adobe isn't doing what I want it to do today, as usual. So anyways, these are like terms. So what I do is I combine my coefficients. -3 plus 9, right? Oops. Oh, that undo would be very good. -3 plus 9. So the answer would be, now, of course, I'm just looking at the numbers. The answer here would be 6mn squared. Okay, for something like B, it's a little bit more complicated because I don't have only like terms. I have what we would call unlike terms. So I combine the terms that are like, meaning they would have the exact same variable and the exact same coefficient. Okay, so go away, you. Okay, these are like terms. Okay, you can see them. I colored them in purple, blue, and red. 5p squared plus, now you do not need to do this like on a test or something, but I'm going to rearrange this. 5p squared plus 4.
2p and 4p square are not like terms. 2p and 5p are like terms.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you. So I'm going to combine them by writing them next to each other. Now, guys, on a test, you do not need to show me this part. Be careful with the -6 there. Keep the -6. So now I'm going to combine them. Easy. 9p squared plus 7p plus 2. You can use your calculator for any type of integer problem that you may have. You'll notice with something like D, if there's a term that stands out that doesn't have anything to like add, like A here, there's nothing I can do with A, don't do anything with it, leave it. But make sure you don't delete anything, like don't erase any of these variables just because they don't have a partner. Oh, and sorry, tired here today. 4a squared minus a squared is 3a squared. There we go. I'm just waking. Well, I've been up for a while, but it's hard to kind of get my brain going here. So why don't you guys try a couple of these? Just try a few. F is particularly tricky. What I recommend is do what you can in the brackets first. And if you can do nothing, then get rid of the brackets. Okay, and I'm going to leave it like that. I'll give you guys maybe 2 to 3 minutes to try this, and then we're going to move on. So try E, F, G, and H, and then we'll move on to another topic. I know it's hard. It's pretty early-ish. It's Sunday morning, but we'll try to do as much as we can today. So I'll be back in, let's say, 2 to 3 minutes. Don't forget, you can always check your answers. The Unit 1 answers are on the D2L page under Topic 1 or Unit 1. So I'll be back in 3 minutes. Good luck. Any questions, let me know. All right, just take another minute or so. There's more here, but remember, guys, you are meant to practice this on your own, as in for any of my new students, we're not going to do every practice problem in this book. This book is kind of like your course notes and worksheets. So I highly recommend practicing this, but just take one more minute to finish off what you were working on. F might have been a little challenging, um, but we'll look at the answers in just 1 minute. And I have a message in the chat there. Okay, good. Nasser is putting some answers in the chat. So is Isra. You can feel free to do that if you wish. But I'll be back 1 minute and we'll start looking at some of these answers. Okay, let's check these out. Let me check the chat too. I'm getting lots of answers. People are answering H. I like H. H is kind of a little fun one. E and H are kind of easy. I shouldn't say easy, I guess, but E and H are pretty straightforward, whereas F and G, there's a little bit more work. Okay, so let's get the answers out of the way and move in. We're going to get into the next topic. We're about one topic behind where we should be, which is okay because it's hard to keep on time for Ramadan. But the next two topics, topics 6 and 7, are actually pretty classic algebra, pretty challenging. So we're going to get into chapter or section 6 after we do this, but let's get these answers out of the way. So I had an answer like this in the chat here. People were saying negative 4an squared. Perfect. Let's do H as well. So we have 1, 2, 3 p's, or should I say 3p squared, and then we have 2 p's. Pretty straightforward there. Get rid of the bracket, or get rid of that plus sign, fix it. Now, G is also pretty easy. F, the only reason F is hard is because of the brackets. And there's a couple things I want to mention about the brackets, but let's do G first. G, okay, combine your like terms. So these guys are next to each other, so that's pretty easy. These guys are not next to each other. There is only one C, he's all by himself, and then there's only one 5. So the 5 and the C, there's nothing we can do with them. We do need to combine the 3c squared and the, we need to combine the c squared and the CD terms. Okay, so first things first. 3c squared minus 4c squared. So if you have 3 things and somebody takes away 4 of them, you will have negative 1c squared. So we would just say negative in math. If some of you guys said negative 1, totally fine. Okay, what about the CD? Well, this is very careful here. We have a negative and a negative. That means you can put this in on your calculator if you want. But
6 CD. plus 6 CD.
Exactly. This is going to be a plus 6 CD. Exactly. So I'm going to still keep my subtract sign there, and then I'm going to keep my C and my 5. Okay. You can't do anything with the C or the 5. So they stay the same. So my answer becomes, didn't mean to put that there, negative C squared plus 4CD minus C minus 5. Done. Doesn't really matter what order you put the terms in. Typically, we put the terms in descending order based on their powers. So you would put like cubes and squareds first, but guys, it honestly doesn't matter what order it is. Typically, numbers go last. I'm not going to take marks if you don't put it in the best order, but again, the proper way is to go in descending, which means high to low, from higher powers like 2 to 3 or 4 or 5, 6, and then go down from there. We'll talk a little bit about that later. All right, question F. I'm going to put a star by this one because this is a bit challenging. One thing I want to mention about F, and I wish my undo worked. I don't know what's happening. Maybe I can do this. Okay, anyways, I'm thinking about ways to clean my screen up. But anyways, about F, I want to say something before we move any further, because you might see something like this with F. Be very wary of, okay, so guys, I'm up here. Be up at the top of the screen. Be very wary, be very careful of the sign in this question. If this sign was negative, it would change everything inside those brackets when we remove the brackets. You need to remove the brackets here so we can combine our like terms. We will follow BEDMAS, meaning anything inside the brackets we will do first. Then we'll solve everything outside of the brackets. We always do brackets first. But again, another warning, if this sign here was a negative, you need to distribute that negative in, which means it would change the sign of everything. So be very careful when you see negatives outside of brackets. We looked at that a little bit in the last section, and we'll look at this more in the next section. Anyways, that's not part of this question, so let's go. Do what's inside the brackets first. So I can certainly combine these two guys, and this guy is all done at the end. So I'm going to combine my 11 and my 4. So 11 minus 4 is 7p squared plus 2px plus 8. Nothing I can do there. You'll notice my brackets are gone. Plus 5p minus 5px minus 2. Nothing I can really do there. All right, now can I simplify this anymore? Well, yeah. Let me pick a different color.
Minus 6, not minus 5.
Sorry. Oh, minus 6. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Guys, that is just coming from there. A little mistake on me. Thank you for fixing that. Huge help. So I can combine these terms and I can combine these terms. All right. So change my color back to red. Let's see. The answer, 7p squared. Nothing we can do with that. 2px minus 6px. So it's a 2 minus a 6. That's negative 4px. Don't forget, guys, you can use your calculators for this. I'm going to write the 5p. Right? There was nothing I could do with the 5p or the 7p squared, so they stay. And then finally, 8 minus 2, which is plus 6. There is your answer. Sometimes I put a square around my answers, so there's all of my answers. Sorry for the mess, but there you go. All right, cool. All right, let's move on. We're moving on. So, okay, so there's more practice here. Well, a couple more practice questions. But now we're going to look at evaluating these guys. And then we'll get into topic 6. Exciting. Okay, hold up here. What? Oh, okay. I love these guys. This is easy. You guys will like this. This is a bit more relaxing now. This topic I highly recommend, as usual. Owning a calculator or getting one, buying one, borrowing one. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. I don't even know where mine is right now. Oh, there it is. It just needs to be a graphing calculator, or sorry, it doesn't need to be a graphing calculator. I showed this before. Excuse me, but it just needs to be something like this. You can see on my camera there. The brand name we use at the college is Casio. You can see my hair is a bit messed up here today, but this calculator here is what I recommend. It comes in this color or gray, and I think they're under 100 real. Maybe they're more nowadays. Who knows? But get yourself this calculator because we are going to look at evaluating algebraic expressions. So evaluating typically means, I don't want to say solving, but I want to say, putting a number in and getting an answer. It's different than an equation is what I'm saying. But I could give you an algebraic expression. There's an example right here, 3n plus 5. So we would call that an algebraic expression, not equation. 3n equals 5 would be an equation. This is just called an expression. And I could say, evaluate this, tell me what this would be if n, my variable, was 2. Or I could be crazy and say, well, what if n was 1.6 or negative 8.8? But it's very easy. You just put the number in on your calculator. You don't always have to do this because if you look at number 1, it's very easy. So here I put in my 2. So 3 times 2, that's 6, and 5 is 11. Easy. It can be a little harder when you look at number 2. So number 2 says, evaluate this expression, but put in -3. Now, I have a hint or a tip for you. Whenever you put in, and I'm going to do some of these with you, whenever you put in an algebraic expression in math, or in this course, put it in as brackets, and you can see it happens here. So wherever I see an X, I'm going to put in -3. But I'm going to put it in as brackets. And that helps because if you guys remember last week, x squared will change the sign depending on if we have brackets or not. We always have brackets. So when I say 2x squared, and I'm saying that x is -3, I want you to square the entire thing, like as in square the negative and the 3. And your calculator, I promise you, will do this. I could enter this on my calculator in one step. Let me just see something actually before I move on. Oh, hold up. I might know what's going on with my control. I know what's going on with my controller or my Adobe. My keyboard wasn't plugged in right. Anyways, let me share something with you. Okay, so you guys could probably see my screen right now. This is the Windows calculator, not the best calculator. But watch what I can do on this. So I can say, okay, 2 bracket. I hope this shows up like I want it to. But anyways, -3. Oh, this is not going to work like I want it to. Why? Why is this not going to work like I want it to? Okay, new plan. Plan number 2. We'll try this. I don't like that Microsoft calculator all the time. What I wanted to do was show you how you could enter this whole thing. I guess I'll do it like this and have it solve for you. So what can I use? I'll just use, I think Google might do it. So if I went 2 bracket -3, okay, I'm going to raise it to the power of 2, minus 5 to the bracket of -3, minus 4, and I hit equals. Google, there we go. Google does it a little better than me. It will answer it as 29. Now you'll notice in the Google, on the Google screen, I did my exponent using a symbol that looked like this. If you guys buy a calculator, it's a lot easier than this. Okay, so you can use what I'm saying here, guys, is you can use a calculator for this entire thing. You can use your Android phone, Apple phone, Google, or you can use a real calculator. I strongly recommend you use a real calculator. Okay. So let's practice. Okay, I got a plan. I'm going to do the easy ones. You guys are going to do the hard ones, and then halas, we're done. Wink, wink, wink. There's my wink face. Number 2 would be a good practice question. Wink, wink. Okay, and remember, if you see me wink or hear me say it, that means you might see this question again. Cough, cough. All right, so number 2 is a good one. All right, but let's practice. I'm going to do the easy ones. You guys can do the hard ones. So now I'm going to do number 1, A, C, and number 2, A. All right. Number 1A, evaluate each expression where x is going to be, I'm doing number 1, x is 3, y is 2, and z is -1. All right, well, easy. So 3, I'm going to put my brackets in, x is 3, minus 5, y is 2, and added to 4, where z is -1. So this is 9 minus 10 minus 4, and you'll get your answer. You do not have to show me all of these workings, by the way. So 9 minus 10 is -1. -1 minus 4 should be -5. I think that's correct. You guys, if you get something different, let me know. I hope I'm right.
Correct, Mister.
Sorry, it's correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. I think the answer key says something different, but the answer key is all messed up here. I don't know. There's a couple mistakes in your answer key, guys. So I will warn you, if you do something in your answer key and it looks different than you think it should be, there are a couple of mistakes. Okay, let's try C, a little harder here. Okay, so C, well, C is not that bad for me. You guys will have a trickier one with D maybe. C, x squared, so 3 squared plus 5 times 2 squared. Okay, that's easy. This will be 9, 3 times 3, plus, now 2 squared is 4, 5 times 4 is 20, so 29. Oh yeah, there's definitely a mistake in your answer key. All right, but 29 is good. Perfect. All right, number 2, and then I'm going to let you guys practice. And I want you guys to try these 3. Number 2, 3A, but guys, A this time is going to be a decimal, 3.4. And B is also a decimal, and it's negative, so it's -2.6. Now, you can do this in your calculator. You don't need to do all of this, but I'm going to go baby steps, we'll call it. So, step by step. So I get 10.2 minus,
5.2.
perfect. And the answer there should be 5. You guys, if I ask you this on a test, you only really need to say 5. You don't need to show me every bit of working. I mentioned this to somebody yesterday. If you don't show me workings and you make a mistake, you might lose half of a mark. If you don't show your workings and you get the wrong answer, you get a 0. So it's always good to show a few workings. So I want you guys to try these. I'll be back in maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and then we're getting into the big section 6. Section 6 is finally we're going to look at solving equations, which is something you guys hopefully have done before. So take 3 or 4 minutes. I'll be right back. All right, guys, I'll be back in 1 second. I just had to post something in my other class just to remind them about Ramadan. And I have a lot of questions in the chat. which I'm going to read now in a second. I just need to share one post. 1, 2. Talking to myself always helps. Almost done. Just give me 1 second. All right. Okay, let's check the chat here. My other class, like without on the regular schedule, so when Ramadan is over, is starting in 5 minutes. So I just wanted to remind them that I'm not there. I'll be there later. Okay, I'm getting lots of answers. The answer key for this question in the course notes is a little messed up. So let's look at everybody's answers and see what they get. I'm getting I'm getting 14 for B. There's 2 B's. Okay, yeah, well, let's look at the answers, see how you guys did. Now, remember, if you don't have a calculator, if you're not sure how to use your calculator on your iPhone or Android, because I assume you all have a phone or access to some form of calculator. If you're on a Zoom class, you should have some form of computer. One mistake you might make is not using brackets. So let's look at these answers and we'll move on. Okay, where's my pen? Here we go. So B, number 1B. Oops, okay. Just get rid of that a little bit. All right, so we have x squared. So that's 3. Put the 3 in brackets, guys. 3 squared minus 8 to 3 again, which is fine, minus 5 times 2. So I'm like, I don't know the answers. The answer key isn't working very well for this question. So I'm going to put this in on my calculator exactly as it appears. And I get a minus 25. Did anybody get minus 25 for this? Whoops. Okay, so let me so that would be 9 minus 24 minus a 10. Yeah, that looks good to me. What about you guys? How do you guys feel? Yeah, all right. Excellent. Cool. Sometimes I need you guys because as you notice, I make mistakes. So, all right, let's try letter D, 1D. So 3 squared plus 2 squared. I don't like how that looks. There we go. Plus -1 squared. Now remember, because I used brackets, that -1 turns into a +1. And your calculator, like I said, can do this. So 3 squared plus 2 squared. So that's 9 plus 4. And I'm going to add a -1 squared. And I'll get 14. All right, cool. I think we're all doing well so far. Let me check the chat and we'll move on. All right, cool. So B. Now, this one isn't any harder. There's nothing more difficult about number 2 than number 1. The only difference between number 2 and number 1 is we're using decimals in our calculations. That doesn't mean anything if you're using a calculator, which please make sure you're using for something like question 2. Okay, so 2 times 3.4 squared. I put the 3.4 in brackets, plus 3 times -2.6 squared. And let's check my answer. Now remember, the -2.6 is in brackets and we're squaring it. It will become positive when we do that calculation. Does it matter? No, because your calculator will do it for you. as long as you use brackets. I cannot stress that enough. So for this one, I get 43.4. If you guys got a different answer than that, let me just check the chat as well, make sure I am correct. Yep, I am correct. If Nasser and Suher, I think I'm saying your name right, got it, I feel like this is correct. Bilal got this one a long time ago, 10 minutes ago almost. So this is good. All right, cool. So again, one thing I'll mention, if you're not if you're not getting this answer, 43.4, you're not using your brackets correctly. Okay, the British people would call them parentheses. I highly recommend, wink, wink, for practice, you guys try some of these. Right? So, E or F or D, give them a try. I mentioned this before, but, like a lot of math, it's why I liked math. It's not like studying in a quiet room where you read and write terms over and over. Math is about practicing. So, you could put on an old movie or some music that you like and just practice, practice, practice. And that's kind of how I did it. Maybe some of you might need a quiet space. I always liked an old movie I've seen 100 times, so I don't need to watch it, but just hearing it makes me feel better. And I'd practice, practice, practice. Okay, topic 6. Now, this is all we might get done today. I think in theory, we should be starting topic 7 today, but we're doing okay. We're one topic behind, I think, but that's fine. We'll keep at this pace. So topic 6, we just looked at algebraic expressions. But that's not really going to apply much when you're in engineering or medical science or chemistry or physics or whatever you're doing, even business math or IT math, when you need to solve something. Equations are when you need to solve an unknown. And this is kind of like the key of algebra. There's different types of math. There's calculus, there's algebra, there's trigonometry. That's, the math where we have angles and things and shapes. Algebra is all about simplifying equations and solving for the unknown. X could be reals. It could be the money you made in a month, your profit, we would call it, or your revenue. If you're a business student, if you're an engineering student, X could be the pressure in a system. If you're a medical science student, X could be the number of milligrams or parts per million of iron in a person's blood. So this is definitely something useful for you guys, solving linear equations. Now, first of all, solving, it speaks for itself. We're going to get an answer. We're going to solve for X or solve for Y. An equation speaks for itself. We're going to be dealing with equations that have equal signs. What does linear mean? Well, linear means we're not going to look at squares or cubics. We're going to deal with variables to the power of 1. So this would be linear. Whoops. This would be quadratic or not linear. Basically, if you graphed a linear equation, if you put it on a graph, it would make a straight line. If you graph a quadratic or a cubic or something else, it might make a different shape. So they're called linear equations because it's always the variable to the power of 1, which is good, makes it easier. And if you graph that equation, it would make a straight line. So let me get rid of this. Now this is very important. When a number or variable is added or subtracted to one side of an equation, it can be moved to the other side by changing its sign. We're going to practice this today. The key for solving linear equations is to get all of the terms that contain a variable to one side and all of those that contain a number to the other. So in simple words, we're going to move terms, we're going to move variables and numbers around an equation and solve for that equation. The key is when you move a number across an equal sign, the sign changes. And we're going to practice this. So I have a few examples here. We'll look at division, which is probably what students have the most problem with. And then, of course, we'll practice. And we'll get to solving with brackets. And then I think we're done for today. And we might get to fractions. We'll see. We can go for another 30 minutes or so. So we'll see how far we get. I think fractions are going to be a little bit more complicated than I think they are. Or I mean, it's going to take us more time. So let's look at these four examples and then we'll practice. So in example number 1, I want to solve for x. That's the whole point of solving linear equations. There's a problem here though. The x is not alone. There's a -9 next to the x. I need to get rid of that. What we're going to try to do is isolate the x, meaning get the x all alone on one side of the equation. So what I want to do is get that 9 away. Okay, now what happens is when that 9 goes to the other side, it changes its sign. There's a mathematical explanation for this. What we're really doing is we're adding a 9 to both sides of the equation. But we found through years of teaching here, the easy kind of way to memorize this is when the 9 moves over, the sign changes. Okay, same thing for number 2. The difference is here, I want to get the 16 to the other side and the 7 to the the 10x to the other side. Again, I'm going to show you some of this in a few minutes. We're going to do some together. So when the 16 moves over, it becomes a -16. When the positive 10x moves over, it becomes -10x. Again, when you move them across the equal sign, the sign of the coefficient changes. Then I would simplify this expression. 11x minus 10 is 1x. -7 minus 16 is -23. There's our answer. Unfortunately, they're not going to be as simple as this. Examples 1 and 2 are setting you up so you just have 1x. That's not really what you're going to see a lot. So we're going to need one more property. Let me check the chat and I'll explain one more property and then we'll practice. Yeah, as Nasser says in the chat there, yeah, I mean, the whole point of this is solving for x. And, I really hope you can see the usefulness in this. It's so useful. People do this every day and they don't even know. You might be doubling a recipe in the kitchen. You might be trying to calculate something for a bill or a receipt. If you went to Festival City and you had 100 reals to spend and you bought a movie ticket and some food and you wanted to know how much you would have left, you solve for x, right? I mean, people do this all the time, but they don't know that they're doing it. So there's one little other property we need to talk about before we can solve these effectively, and it's the division property. and really the idea of this is when you move a number or a coefficient across an equal sign, it becomes the opposite. So in this example, well, let me read this first. The division property states that for any number, it could be A, B, C, D, doesn't matter. How do I want to? A equals B. That's very confusing. If A, B, and C, if A are the same as B, you can divide them by the same number. That's or you can both divide them by C and not change the equation. That's not an easy way to memorize this. This is the better one. Any equation, if both sides of the equation are divided by the same number, that's where that C comes in, then both sides are equal. So what this means is, and I'm going to explain this hopefully a little better when we do the practice problems. You know, we solve this equation. So the 2x goes over here, the 4x goes, or the 4 goes over here. We change the signs of both of them. So the 2x becomes negative 2x, the negative 4 becomes positive 4. This simplifies to this. Now, there's a problem here. I want to know what x is. I do not need to know what 4x is. So what I do is I divide both sides by 4. The 4's cancel, and I'll get my answer. I do have an easier way to explain this. I'll show you when we do the practice problems. Okay, let's look at number 2. So I'm going to move the 2x over, and I'm going to move the 5 and the negative 12 over. I want x's on one side, numbers on the other. So move the variables to the left and the numbers to the right. When you move them, the sign changes. So I'll get 7 minus 2x, then I'll get 29 minus 8 minus the 5 plus the 12, and I get this number. 5x equals 28. Now I'm stuck. 5x. I don't want 5x. I want one of them. So I divide both sides by 5. And you'll notice these cancel. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And you'll get your answer. You can answer these questions in math as a fraction or a decimal, whatever you're more comfortable with. So fraction or decimal are fine. You don't need to worry about this guy in the middle. That's a mixed number. Don't worry about that. So fraction or decimal, I'm a happy man. Some calculators like the Casio will give you a fraction. Some calculators will just give you a decimal. Okay. That's all confusing. Let's do some practice. Now, before I do the practice, here's what I want to explain to you. You have 4 operations in math. I'm going to have to move that down. Hold on. You have plus, minus, multiply, and you have divide. Hold on. I need to have room to write this. Okay, so you have plus, minus, multiply, divide. Now, when you move these guys across an equal sign, and this is my personal favorite way to think about this. If you move a plus, minus, multiply, or divide across an equal sign, it becomes the opposite. So positives become negatives. Negatives become positives, multiplieds become divides, and divides become multiply. This is not in your notes. This is kind of how I used to do this when I was a young kid doing algebra, and I had, I was trying to remember, okay, I need to move this, move this, move that. It always turns into the opposite if it crosses an equal sign. So again, I'll say it one more time. Positive numbers turn negative. Negative numbers turn positive. Multiplied numbers become division. And divided numbers, we'll talk about that in the next section, become multiplied. Okay, so let me look at a few. Now, here's the thing. A, B, and C are very easy. Then E and G and some of them get a little harder. So let me show you. I'm going to do the left side. I'll do A, C, E, and G. And then maybe you guys can try B, D, F, and H. Okay, so here we go. I guess I don't need to erase that. I'll just leave it there. Okay, letter A, very straightforward. I am moving a 3x over to this side. I am moving my 4 to the other. I want x's on the left, numbers on the right. So this becomes 4x minus 3x. This was a positive 3x. I'm moving it over. It becomes negative. Equals minus 6 minus a 4. So 4 minus 3x is just x equals minus 6 minus a 4 would be a minus 10. There's my answer. X is negative 10. Cool. I don't know if I'll mention this today, guys, but you can always check your answers, by the way. You can take your answer and put it into the original equation and see if it works. So you can check this. Okay, C, also a pretty easy one. I can tell I'm only going to get one x, so I'll move the 14 here. I'll move the 2 here. So 15x minus 14x equals 5 minus 2, x equals 3. Very straightforward, right? So A and C are very easy, are meant to be easy. The problem is when you get something like E and G. Now, before I move into E and G, which are much harder, does anybody have any questions? How are you guys doing on this Sunday morning? Everybody okay?
Yes.
All right, cool. Let's go. If at any point I'm going too fast, let me know. If I'm going too slow, don't worry about it. It's better to be slow than fast sometimes. But yeah. Oh, I'm getting some answers too. Did I get? Oh, so Fatima just did letter B. That's good. Okay, let me quickly show E and G, and then you guys can practice. And I have one more thing to show you for today. And actually, the next topic, which I've is about fractions, I've already kind of secretly shown you, but we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Okay, this one is going to be harder, and you'll see why in 1 second. 5x minus 3x equals 12 plus 4. Everything looks good, right? You know, nothing too hard here. 5 minus 3 is 2x.
X equal 8.
All right, well, let's see. Let's check it out. 12 plus 4 is 16. I'm looking at this now, and I think 8 is right. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this. Some of you guys might say, well, okay, x is an unknown. 2 times...
number 2, I think. Downside.
Yeah, well, okay, so let me solve this. So 2 times x equals 16. So you could think of this, you could forget about algebra, and you could just say, well, what number times 2 is 16? You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we would find out that 8 is the answer. This gets much harder when you're dealing with decimals and you know, not pretty numbers. So what I need to do now is I want to move the 2 over. The 2 is multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division. So what I'm doing is I'm basically dividing both sides by 2. Okay, so divide by 2, divide by 2. That's not really how I used to do it when I was a young kid. I used to just say, well, the 2 is multiplied on the left. So when I move it to the right, it becomes division. But, you know, my math teachers might be mad at me for saying that. So really what I'm doing is I'm dividing both sides by 2. All right, let's look at G. Now, G is a little bit more intense because there's a lot of numbers going on there. So I want to move the X over, and I want to move the 6 and the 11 over. So I would get negative 2x minus 3x. I'm not, you know, I don't change anything there. Then I would get plus 12x. Okay, equals 24 minus a 2 minus a 6 plus 11. You'll notice that the 6 and the 11 have changed. We have a minus and a plus. All right, let me check the chat first. People are already solving. Some of you guys aren't even listening to me. You're already solving the other questions, which is fine, I guess. Anyways, let's look at G. So minus 2 minus 3, that's a minus 5 plus 12 would give us a 7x equals 24 minus 2 minus 6 plus 11.
17 over 17.
Well, this would
17
be
over 7.
well, this would be 27 here. 24 minus 2 minus 6 plus 11. So that's 24 minus 8.
Minus 2.
Yep, that's right. 24 minus 2 minus 6 would give you an 18. Sorry, 24 minus 2 minus 6 would give you a 16. And then you add 11 to get 27. You might want to check your calculator for this if you're getting 17. This is 27. Okay, so now I want to get rid of the 7. I divide both sides by 7. Basically, when I move the 7 over, it becomes division, and that's it. We're done. However, we could write this as a decimal, 3.9. All right, cool. All right, so there's a lot going on in the chat and making me kind of happy, kind of sad. So Fatima is writing the answers. Nasser is writing the answers for all of the ones I wanted you to try. Oh, somebody said something for G. Let me see. Yeah, Abdullah Rashidi in the chat there. You just said 3.85 for G, absolutely. This could be 3.857. I mean, whatever. I just rounded it to 1 decimal place. But guys, I don't care about rounding. It doesn't matter to me what you do. Okay. So guys, I know a lot of you have this done, but I would love for those who don't have it done to try these 3. And then we'll move. And if you have this done, and you have your notes, you can try these. There's some harder ones here. But for those of you who aren't finished, I want you to take a few minutes to try these. And then I have one more little tiny topic. We've actually already talked about this topic, and then halas, I'm finished. So do one more topic and we're done. All right, good luck. I'll be back in 3 minutes. Again, sorry, I meant to mention, if you are finished these questions, you can try some more, or you can just relax, whatever you want to do. I'll be back in 3 minutes. All right, let's check out your answers. I do have one little thing I do want to show you as well. I know these classes can be long and a bit boring, but if any of you guys ever need to take a break, you can. I got another question. Okay, so before I go through these answers, I will answer this question. I have a private message, so I'll read this out to you because it's really, really important. It says, "Hi, can you tell me what is the exact time for the assignment if I know? And thank you." There is no exact time for the assignment. And what I mean by that is the assignment will be released on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, you'll have a couple of days to do the assignment. You'll have not a week, but maybe 5 days or so. So to answer your question, the assignment will come out on Tuesday, but you will have a few days to do that assignment. It won't be due like within an hour. You'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to do that assignment. I think we're actually going to make it be due on Sunday or before, at least before Sunday. So maybe Saturday night or something. So assignment number 1, guys, is out on Tuesday. It's online. No problem to the person who asked me that question. The assignment is online, and you can do it at any time you want as long as it's, before the due date. Why is my computer doing this? Okay. So somebody just raised their hand. Did you have a question? Meteb, did you have a question?
No, teacher.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I
And
want to ask about the test.
yes.
You told us that the test would be not this week, the next week.
Yes.
In what time? In what date?
We don't know. It'll probably be later in the week. There's like 5 sections of math. So I don't know the date and time, but once I know that, you'll be the first to know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. No problem.
Is it
Okay.
will be online or on campus?
The tests are on campus. The assignments are online.
Okay.
All right,
Teacher,
cool.
before the Eid or after?
Before. Okay. Okay, so let's quickly look at these, and then like I said, I have one more thing to introduce. We're getting low on time, so let me do these 3. I'll introduce one more thing. I've actually already talked about that thing, and then we'll keep going. There's students in the chat doing questions like K and beyond. That's excellent. You can check your answers in the answer key, which is on D2L. Let's look at very quickly D, F, and H, just to make sure everybody is okay. So the 2 gets moved, oops, and the 12 gets moved. So this would be 3x minus 2x equals negative 15 minus a 12. So x is going to equal whatever minus 15 minus 12 is, which I guess should be minus 27. If I make a mistake, let me know. I'm just doing these in my head. So, okay, F. For F, I need, yes?
Plus 12, not minus 12.
Oh, plus 12. Yeah, of course. Okay, so let me backtrack there. This negative 12, thank you for fixing that, becomes positive. Haha. So this is easy. X is negative 3. Thank you. I knew that felt wrong. Sometimes things feel wrong, and you need some time to do them again. All right. So F, I'm going to move the 8 over, and I'm going to move the 3 and the 11 over. Again, guys, the goal here is X is on one side, numbers on the other. Variables on the left is what we usually like, and numbers on the other. So the 8x becomes negative, and then I'm going to subtract a 3 on this side and add an 11 on this side. Oof, it's not a very nice 11. There we go. So 6 plus 5 minus 8. So we have 11x minus 8 would be what? 4? 6 plus 5 minus 8. We 3x. equals 25 minus 3 plus 11. So 25 minus 3 is 22. I'm going to add 11, and I get 33. Now, I divide both sides by that 3 to get rid of the 3, and you end up with 11. Again, when I move the 3 is multiplied. So on the other side, it becomes divide. And finally, my last one, and then I have one more quick thing to show you. I'm going to move the 7 over, and I'm going to move the 48 over. So 9x minus 5x plus 7x equals 70 minus 48. Okay, so 9 minus 5 plus 7 is 11x again, or well, not again, but another 11 there. And then 70 minus 48 would give us a 22. I'm going to divide both sides by 11. Again, it's when I move the 11 over, it becomes division. X is 2. Whoop. All right, cool. So let me check the chat. We're almost done. Fatima and Nasser are giving lots of extra answers in there that you guys are more than welcome to try. I do recommend practicing some of these. And I'm just going to go to, oh, this isn't, sorry, I thought we were doing fractions next. Let's very quickly talk about this. Give me 5 minutes and you guys are free. All right. So those were pretty straightforward linear equations. What I mean is, you know, there weren't brackets, there weren't exponents, and there weren't fractions. Equations can become much harder when you introduce things like exponents, brackets, fractions, logarithms, which you might not know about right now. You might have heard about that in high school. Some equations, like we're going to start simple. Some equations might have brackets. So to solve these equations, there's a few ways to actually do this, but the easiest way is to get rid of those brackets first. Use the distributive property, get rid of the brackets, and solve the equation like we just did. So the only difference between this section and the previous section is that we're going to get rid of the brackets, and then we end up at the exact same place as before. So there's two examples here. Solve each equation. Let me zoom in. Whoops, I just hit my mic. Sorry about that. So this equation and this equation. Now, if you're good at, I shouldn't say good at math, but if you're, you know, working a bit ahead, there is an easy way to solve number one. You can actually get rid of that 5 first, but we're going to keep our steps the same. And by keeping our steps the same, we have some consistency. And what I mean by that is, you know, if we can find a method to do every question the same, it will help you guys, you know, solve these questions. But for anybody who's maybe a bit more experienced with algebra or has, you know, more practice with this, there is actually a way to get rid of this 5. But that's a future topic. So what we do first is we get rid of the brackets by following a property we learned all the way back on, I think it was Sunday or Monday last week. It's the distributive property. I'm going to multiply that 5 inside the brackets, so it becomes 5x minus 15. Then I solve this like normal, like we've already been doing, and I get 10. For number, and I want you to be very careful with number 2, I'm distributing in a -2, and I'm distributing in a -1. -7x minus 10, like with the brackets, that's like having a -1 in there. So be careful, because when I take -2 and 3x, I get -6. -2 and -4 gives me a +8. 1 times -7 is, of course, a -7. And -1 times a -10 is positive. So be very careful here. So let's conclude the class with me showing you 2. And then, guys, next class, I want you guys to have these practiced. So tonight, maybe tomorrow morning before the class, I want you to try these. But to finish today, let me show you 2. And I'm picking pretty easy ones, actually. D would be a good practice one, wink, wink. But I'll leave that for tomorrow. So let's try A and B. The problem with A is I have brackets there that there's no easy way to solve for this with the brackets. So I want to get rid of the brackets. Sorry, let me zoom in here. Okay, so step number 1, distribute the 3 inside those brackets. So this becomes 3x minus 15 equals 2x plus 8. And guys, now we're done. I mean, this is easy. Well, it's not easy, but now we're at the stage where all I have to do is rearrange the equation so that the x's are on one side. You'll notice that the positive 2x becomes negative. And here we go. Easy. So x is 23. Nothing to it. Easy, easy. Well, I think it's easy with some practice anyways. For B, I want to do the distributive property again. I'm going to have to do this 2 times. Okay, so this ends up being 3x, I'm going to say added to 2x minus 10 equals 4x minus 8. And then, of course, I move my x's and my numbers. Oops, sorry. I did that wrong. I moved my x's and my numbers, but I picked the wrong ones. So 3x plus 2x minus 4x equals -8 plus 10. I don't know why my writing is doing that. Ooh, okay. So this ends up just being x. You can do that on your calculator if you don't believe me. 3 plus 2 minus 4. 5 minus 4 is 2. We're done for today. I'm going to stop there. It's 12:07. That's enough for today. Fatima has helped me. Fatima says that A is 23, X is 2. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, guys, that's it for today. Tomorrow, we'll do one more topic and then get into one of the more challenging problems. Let me just get there. Word problems. Or literal problems, not word problems, but literal problems. Can be very tricky. All right, cool. So guys, that's it for me. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm going to hit stop record. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Again, if you have any questions, let me know.